Okay, so HARO, help a reporter out. There's a conversation going on in the group about what it is, how to use it, and I've recommended an alternative to using HARO that's likely to be far more effective and take you a lot less time. So this video is really designed to answer those three questions. First one, what is HARO and how to use it? Well, HARO is basically a marketplace for media inquiries. It's where journalists post things they need help with, hence the name. The things they don't tell you is that it's where they go when they have no other option. They've been assigned a story, they've used the sources that they typically rely on or that the editor has given them, and they come up blank, or they have a gap and they need comment on a particular topic in order to fill the piece, whether that's a written piece, whether it's audio or video. Journalists typically are now working to ridiculous deadlines. They always were, but with the advent of more platforms, so deadlines have shortened. And the thing that you really need to understand about HARO is that journalists aren't looking for quality. They're looking for something quickly. And unless you are the first or second or third person to respond, you're really not going to get a look in. Journalists are looking for somebody to give them what they want and then to move on. Platforms manage so that journalists won't necessarily see the responses after the one that they've selected, and so you're not doing anything to build a relationship with them. It's essentially an online version of what PR companies do in reverse. Rather than sending pictures to an email address, journalists are basically publishing things they want help with. You're sending a response to it and it's going into a resource somewhere where they'll look at the first couple. Once they get what they need, they won't look at any others. So it doesn't really help with the awareness or visibility with a particular journalist. It's great if you find that one inquiry that is specific to what you do, but you still have to be quick. Because they're not looking for quality, if they find somebody first that can offer a perspective that fits the bill, then they're not going to worry the fact that yours is actually a better, more appropriate or more relevant comment. So there we go to the next thing, which is finding those opportunities. The nature of the platform, the tool, is that journalists post stuff only when they need help, so you don't really get a chance to see things ahead of time. You have to be watching all the time, and that takes time. And arguably there are things that you could be doing when you're looking at HARO that will better serve your business. It can become a time drain. If you're trying to pull together something, sending it in, thinking that by compiling a good response you'll get a better outcome, forget it. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so that's HARO, how it works, the limitations, and how you need to use it. The final thing is how to do it better, how to increase your chances of getting commercially valuable media coverage. Now, what most PR companies won't tell you is journalists are not the people you need to be building relationships with, at least not directly. The current approach that most PR companies use is that they will mail out pitches to an email address which isn't the working email address of the journalist. It's like working on something that you're working on and getting emails just flashing in front of you. It's distracting. Occasionally you'll get a phone call. All it does is stop you from doing the work that you're under pressure to complete. It doesn't build a relationship between you and the journalist. Arguably all it does is irritate them. So who do you need to be building relationships with? Well, editors are the people that hold the balance of power in a newsroom. They decide what stories get covered, they decide which ones of those make, which ones get published, and they also assign the stories to journalists. An average day inside a newsroom goes something like this. There's an editorial meeting early in the day, arguably before 9 o'clock. In most media organisations it's even earlier than that. They'll decide the stories, they'll decide the things that are priorities, and they'll assign the stories to the journalists to gather, hence the term news gathering. This is where they're looking for sources. Typically, journalists and editors have a contact book. They have their go-to people. HARO is what happens when their go-to people don't come through, either because they're not available, they're unable to help, or something comes up as a result of that conversation that then they need additional comment. But what you really need to do is be in that diary. You need to be the person they go to when they start to build the story at the start of the day, not the person they rely on at the end of the day because they have no other option. The way you do that is using a source sheet. Media source sheets provide your credentials, they offer help, they list the topics that you can help on and also the network. Because a journalist may not necessarily want to talk to you, but somebody in your network by introduction could help them to complete a story. The more helpful you become, the more they call you. You change the balance of power from pitching journalists via email or via HARO to being the first people they call when they need help. And that's really where you want to be. That's how you build relationships with journalists. That's how you get them to call you rather than you having to call them. And that's how you get commercially valuable coverage, because the more you help them,